you, welcome back to Actionables. In case we haven't met, my name is Payden. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for tuning back in. On today's episode, I have somebody who is incredibly inspiring, and I have loved having this conversation. She is somebody who started her career as a fashion designer, was very successful in it, and then she got into spirituality, and now she helps others and inspires others as an energy manifestation coach. She is a grandmaster of Reiki, and I have loved this conversation, and you will find out why, because we have touched on the deeper questions of life. She is the founder of Rise Your Light, that she founded in 2017. She's a Reiki master, a psychic tarot card reader, a spiritual counselor, a hypnotherapist, and above all, an energy manifestation coach and also an author. I'm thrilled to be getting into this conversation with the inspiring Aanchal Jain Bajaj. So let's get into this conversation. Hi Aanchal.
Hi, Marilyn.
Thank you for joining me on Actionables today.
Thank you for calling me. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so grateful that we got in touch and we connected and we are sitting down and having this conversation today.
Yeah, when I saw your pictures, when I saw your post, I really liked the energy. I like, yeah, I want to connect with. I was just the same. One day only I get that whom should I collaborate with?
Yes,
So yeah.
and I'm glad you reached out and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So I think a great place to start would be I want to know, how did somebody who was into fashion designing come about and become a energy manifestation coach and got into spirituality? So could you share your journey that has been creative so far?
That is a very deep thing because it's very hard to actually accept this journey sometimes. Now, of course, I've accepted and I'm doing it for a very long time. But in the beginning, when I was going through this transformation, it was very difficult. I was very intuitive as a child. Things like manifesting, vision boards, I used to do this as a child. Nobody taught me, but I used to do this. It was simple for me to manifest things that I wanted. I used to meditate naturally, and I was also very religious because I come from a religious family. I was growing up, I used to feel that by doing prayers, I'm not able to connect fully to God. I want to connect deeper to God. And I used to feel so much energies in my hand, I didn't know what it was. And I was very intuitive, which also used to scare me. As a 10-year-old, it's scary.
Yeah.
So my parents asked me to do some prayers and all that. It then vanished a little bit, but still I would say that inner search was still there. I had already visioned a lot about my life as when I was 10, 11. I had a feeling this is how I want to live, this is what I. So fashion or art has been one of my love. And I was very sure, I think when I was 12 years old, that I want to study design. And so I studied from Pearl Academy of Fashion. And before that, I did my bachelor's in arts from Jesus and Mary College. Fashion, like I used to love doing creative work, doing all of that, designing. And when I graduated, I won the award for best designer. I worked with some designers. I used to work as a stylist with magazines. Then something started changing in me. I used to start feeling again those a lot of energies. I just started meditating. I had a guru. She used to just teach me a little bit of meditations, and I used to have intense experiences. And then I left styling at that time. At a peak of my career, when I was being called to Mumbai, when I had worked with for magazines for some of the celebs also at that time. But something happened and I didn't feel right. I didn't know what was happening.
Did you lose interest in it, or what was going on?
No, I did not lose interest in it. I just had a lot of questions,
Okay.
inside questions. For example, what is the purpose of life? Why am I doing this? And whenever I used to imagine my future, my friends were there who were, doing very well in the industry. They would say, if you like to create clothes, give it to us. We'll wear them. And I used to wonder, do I want this? No, I don't see myself as a great designer if could not vision anything further. And I felt that something is off, and I would have a lot of questions about internalizing that. If we are not this body, what am I doing here?
Correct.
So it was just very. I used to feel I'm delusional, but I now realize that it was my awakening time. So I thought let's take a break, and I started my brand that time, Perfectly Perfect. and I had a studio. And there were a lot of energies I used to feel in my hand. So I would tell my friends, something is wrong, just you just take it. I have a lot of electrical charge in my hand, just take something. And they would tell me amazing experiences. I had a amazing night. I slept well. Some work was dark. It happened. Then I searched what's happening and what it is called. I asked a lot of people. They said that it is something called Reiki. Maybe you can try that. Then I learned that. Then I had a lot of questions coming up, like what is the purpose of my life? How do I want to see myself? I feel that whatever your mind perceives, it gives you that direction. I could not perceive any direction in fashion anymore. Though I loved the creative work, I loved designing, but I didn't want to become a great fashion designer. And it was shocking for me. And some at that time I also stopped talking to some of the people in the industry because what should I tell them? I'm going through this spiritual experiences. It's something I'm working on something so external and I'm having such internal experience. I didn't know.
Did you feel
No,
confused?
I feel I was very excited to understand this. Little bit confused because I didn't know where I was heading.
Sure.
Logically, my parents, everybody said that, it was shocking. Like, you are an award winner designer. What are you doing? Why are you wasting your time? People will call me that, let's do some export business, let's do the fashion show. Not interested. It's shocking in that way. Like, what's wrong with me? This is what I always wanted. So then I accepted that journey. Then my aunt came home and I told her everything. I'm very close to my aunts. So she told me that when you were a child, we were told this, that you will become a spiritual teacher, and we didn't believe it because you were a very happy, creative child, and spirituality seemed like a very serious job. And they even told us that she could leave the material life and go completely, or she will become a very good spiritual teacher. But they're like, no, it's not possible. So then she asked me that you should accept what's happening with you, because though your mom didn't believe it, I knew somewhere that because it had to happen. So she started teaching me a little more because she was into many spiritual practices, chanting, meditation. She started teaching me. She guided me further to other teachers. My intuition started growing a lot. I learned tarot, I learned numerology. I could even touch things and guide people. Give me a ring, I will touch it, close my eyes, and guide you. And then I learned Reiki to the master level. But still, at that time, whenever I was doing it for others, it was always for free. And it was like that I'm just doing it because I know it and just a way of giving back whenever I'm free. But I still had that job in the day. And if somebody needed any of my help, intuition, guidance, tarot reading, I would do it for free or donation basis whenever I had time. But then this started getting intense and people started coming to me that they want to learn from me. And I would tell them, no, 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 I'm not ready to teach anybody.
Yeah.
This person teaches for free. So I would just send them to somebody. No, no, I charge very high. So you do this person, this is teaching for free. You go to this person, I learn from this person. So this was happening. And then I went back to my teacher. She was like, you can't keep this knowledge into your pocket. When she gave me the Grandmaster attunement, she told me that, Anchal, I don't know why you're born in the material world. Your energies tell me that you should be somewhere meditating in the mountains. I don't know what you're doing here. So, definitely, if you're born here, there is some karmic pattern which is left, and there are certain things that you have to do. And if people who want to learn specifically from you, why would like there are so many other grandmasters, they're looking for clients want to start this, and people like there were actually people they would say, no, 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 I want to learn from you only. So I said, okay. Then I started actually framing it into services, but still again for free. Then I started falling sick, like very badly. I would fall sick for a whole week, and I went back to my teacher like, I'm doing this now as you said, but I'm falling sick. She said, you're not completing the energy exchange process. See, with family, with friends, it's fine. But other people, it's a lot of energetic entanglement. You have to balance it. So slowly and slowly I started refining and I realized that now I can't follow both. I have to choose. So 2017, I started Rise Your Light. This also came in a deep meditative state. I was in Vipassana in the last day in the morning when our silence opened and I was looking at the sunrise at 6 a.m. and I felt that. I got this exact line. Rise. I'm getting chills when I'm saying that. It's time to shine. So this is what you go back and name. Back, and I named this company Rise.
So, right from childhood, you would say you were intuitive and you had
Yes.
this energy. So, it was not something that was scary, like you said. It was something that you were curious about. But at any point, did it freak you out, or at any point, was it too much to handle, or you said, okay, what's going on here? I need to take a step back. At any point, did you have that hesitancy of what's going on?
Every time unconsciously upgraded, I had this.
Right.
So I don't share it so much on social media because sometimes I don't know how people take so many things. But for me, when I think I was 8 years, I get this intuition that something wrong is going to happen, or one time earthquake, and it did come in the same day.
That's powerful.
That's powerful. That time it freaked me, like freaked me. I thought that I caused, and I was crying. I used to have intuitions about good things as well, like something new is going to come, something is happening, but that never bothered me. When it started specifically happening to one or two times about bad things, as a child, it scared me. And then that's when my parents had this puja. They said that she's not ready. Like my nani called this pandit and told her that she's too young to handle this. And my nani was also intuitive. So I think it got from her, I got it from her.
You had your family support when you got into this work, when you decided, I'm going to leave my fashion world behind. You had the support, you had the backing of your family members.
Yes, definitely. Even when I switched from fashion, I was feeling so much energy when I left a styling job. I started my company. For me, it was overwhelming. What is this energy when I'm giving to people? They are feeling great. It's a lot. What is this? It was overwhelming. Then, when I got this intuition that I could, touch things and guide about what's going on in their life, it was very freaking for me. It was like, I don't want to know about anybody's life.
Right.
No, I don't want this. So what I used to do when aunt and my first guru started teaching me meditations, I would sit in meditation at night, and I don't know how many hours I was meditating. So I would just sit, and then whenever my eye opens, it opens. Whatever Kriya she would ask me, I would do that. One night I woke up from the meditation around 2 a.m., like sweaty, and I felt like there are snakes coming out of my head, and one snake body stuck in my throat, like pounding. Like, अब ये क्या है? What is this?
Did
So
it
I
scare you? Was that a
scared the hell out of me because I had not even I had no clue about Kundalini. She not even taught me that. So everything was very freaky for me because it was very uncommon. And in early 20s, even internet didn't have so much information, right? Like now it's pretty common to people. That time it wasn't. 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't that common. I called her and like, this is what is happening to me. What's wrong with these snakes? Again, I used to feel I'm becoming delusional. That am I overthinking that I'm able to see their lives, or have intuitions about what they're thinking, what they're feeling? So I used to actually go to people, my friends, and ask them, am I imagining things or is it real?
because you did not have a role model in front of you or in your life who you could say, and okay, this is not my delusion, this is something that I'm experiencing. So it took you a while for it to be real to you.
It took years, few years for me.
Yeah. You mentioned that, when people used to come and try to learn from you, you said, no, 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 go learn from someone else. Was that the reason? Because you did not accept it yourself first and you felt you were not ready to teach.
Yeah, yes. I wasn't ready to teach till then because I had not fully accepted it. It was still overwhelming to see that fashion to frequency, fashion to spirituality. Like, what's wrong with you? You are going
Yeah.
to laugh. What's wrong with you, Anshul? We
So,
thought you were going to become a big fashion designer, this and that. We used to look up to you in college, and this is what you're doing. This was the conversation in my mind. So yeah, I was telling you about that experience of that night of the snake. So I called my guru 2:30 a.m. and she told me, "Bacha, calm down. It's the Kundalini energy." Like, what's this? And she also told me that night that I can't teach you further now because my Kundalini is not awakened. Whatever I'm telling you, I have just read it in text. So what you're feeling, I know only theoretically about it. I don't know how it feels, what happens. But what I'm going to tell you is now you have to be very cautious about your thoughts and your emotions and your energies. You can't just flow in any negativity because your manifestation cycle becomes much faster after this starts happening. So she just asked me to be careful and find a guru who's already awakened so they can particularly guide you.
I want to go a little back to what you just said, Aanchal, because I don't think everybody who is listening in or who is watching this may be familiar with Kundalini. So, could you explain a little bit about what Kundalini is and to give a context as to somebody who might not know anything about energy work?
Yeah, so at the base of your root chakra, there is a dormant energy which is called Kundalini energy in a form of a spiral. So it's also called a sleeping snake. When you have an awakening, when your spiritual energies rises, this passes through your spine and comes. So if you've seen like a serpent going through your chakras, finally aligning your and then coming out of your crown. So that's when you call your Sahasrara chakra opens up, like your crown chakra opens up, and you fully have the access to the universal energies. And it's a very different experience. A lot of people have awakened it, and I never tried to do that. It just happened for me. And everybody's experience is very different. Some people feel like a spiral, some like I felt like something stuck and snakes coming out. It's more of a representation. Like there are no literal snakes there. It's like an energetic representation. It awakens in people. It doesn't like suddenly go up there. It slowly awakens in people. Everybody's level or time can take, I mean, it can be different for different people. Like my guru, she was into this for 14 years. And she said, I haven't awakened it after 14 years of practice. So you awakened it like just few practices I taught you over the phone. It was already awakened in your past life. Your understanding about who you are, your soul, your understanding about your life is what goes with you to the next life. The growth of your soul goes with you in the next life. So my soul had already grown this much in my last life. That's what my guru said at that time. So this was you just needed a touch. The practices I gave you are very simple and it doesn't awaken like that. I do these practices for 14 years. So it happened because it was already awakened. It just needed a push. So again, like a lot of people came to me, we want to awaken the Kundalini or I want to awaken the third eye. And I never suggest to specifically try to do this or force this energy because it is already there. If there are a lot of blockages in your energy centers, then the energy would not be able to travel up. So it's better we work on our mental and emotional blocks. And there are many ways through therapy, through NLP, through Reiki, through sound healing, so many, healing modalities. And also mindfulness, your self-awareness, that where are you getting stuck in life? What are your repeated patterns in life? You may have one teacher, one therapist, or you may have many. The point is your growth. Are you feeling that you're growing? You're growing. You are not stuck in the past energy. And then you slowly feel that your energy has space to move up. There are exercise in yoga like fast breathing, Kundalini practices, and certain awareness practices that can awaken Kundalini. But it would not be like your normal energy for a long time because you have so many blockages. It will block. It will get blocked again.
It's not that once it opens, it's going to stay open forever.
But if it opens naturally, then it will mostly be open. You will have much more awareness than other people. Your blocks would not feel easy to you. Like getting stuck in some negative thought patterns, this and that, you will feel very uneasy. You wouldn't want to live that kind of because if it's naturally open up, this becomes your natural growth. If you're pushing it through breath work, if you're pushing it hard through awareness exercises, then you are just manipulating the energy. You are not letting it flow. Like that night, I didn't try to manipulate it. I was just doing a simple chakra practice. So it just opened up. And that's what my teacher explained to me. And also, if you suppose this energy opens up and if you want to become extra intuitive, it's very hard to handle this change because your intuition becomes very heightened. Like how old I was when this awakened, I think 26 or 27 years old I was. And then your intuition becomes so heightened for that and heightened and sensitive for that period of time that you can literally feel what the other person is feeling, see what the other person is, and it's very hard to handle at that time. Like you really need to ground that energy, balance that energy. If you have the right support, you can do that. Otherwise it can really make you crazy. Really, at that for a while, I thought I was nuts.
because it
I
was something that you had never experienced before and you had absolutely no idea what was happening.
I have never experienced, and there was nobody around me who ever experienced that. My parents got really worried because they didn't know what to say. They asked a lot of people. They thought that something is mentally wrong.
Right.
But when I'll tell them things, they would be shocked. How do you know this? Like, that's what I'm telling you. I'm not imagining. I'm very intelligent. I'm an award winner, this person in education. I've always excelled. I can't be imagining things out of the blue. I know this is happening to me. When I found my Reiki teacher, they really helped me channel this energy so that I can stop it and I can want it whenever I want it. Like when you get too stuck in the material life, when your mind is too busy, this energy settles down a lot. So when you are meditating a lot, so I had to stop meditating for a while as well at that time. When you are very much living in awareness, then it heightens. So, but you need to know the knowledge, you need to know the awareness and maturity to handle and channel this energy. So she really taught me to channel this energy. She used to sit with me and guide me, teach me further, tell me what I should do. She only taught me that you need to teach others. She only taught me because she was awakened herself. First of all, the question we must ask, why is this journey even important, right? If you're very happy in your life, you're growing, you have a good family, you're earning well, your health is good. Somebody would say, work on your growth, work on your career. Why? What are you doing? Why would you want to go on this journey? And also, people used to believe that this is for your later, this is for your old age
Correct.
when you have nothing else to do. Even when I was in my late 20s, my some of my family members used to say that, Beta, why are you wasting your time in this? This is your time to focus on your career, then get married. I mean, there is the whole life is left in this work. But I realized that if you awaken this power at 70, what are you going to do with it? You've already created your whole life in, I would say, without awareness. You have created all your life without knowing what you are creating, why you are creating. And suddenly at 70, you have this awakening. What will you do? You have no life left to really create it all over again. Maybe you can create a better old age. I realized that this is important so you can live mindfully and mindfully co create with the universe, with yourself, with your soul desire. Because a lot of people live in this duality. Oh, I would really like to become a singer, but it's not a well paid job, or there are so much competition in singing.
Right.
So I joined the corporate world. Do you really love it? Answer is no. Like in Three Idiots, Amir Khan said, do what you really love. He did engineering because he loved it and then he excelled in it. So this is not a mental and emotional thought. This is a very spiritual thought. Like for example, I still love design. I loved design when I left. But I ask myself a question, is it fulfilling my soul? I would say yes when I'm doing it, but I feel something is missing. And when I do this, oh, it fulfills my soul. What aspect of creativity would you like to add? Yes, I can add. So I started creating some crystal jewelry, creating some new courses. It's creativity that sparked me. And you can have creativity in your life in any form. You're cooking, you can do it, you can cook with creativity. Add some new spices, do something. So I just realized that I can add that creative joy into my life in any form, in any work that I do. So that mindfulness really makes you live a very deep and purposeful life. So purpose doesn't mean that what you're going to achieve. That's what I feel. That's when people ask the question, what is the purpose of my life? They feel they're going to achieve something. Purpose. That's not what it is. Your purpose means how do you want to live this life that makes you feel completely fulfilled, and you can add the same value to others' life as well. Because if we go a little deeper in the, I would say, common sense understanding of it, if you are not happy, you can't keep people around you happy. If you're happy, smiling, filled with life, naturally you're spreading so much joy. So don't do anything for the world, just do it for yourself. If you will be happy, you will anyways going to spread good energy in the world, even if you won't help the world through this work. So that's one of the reasons that this understanding is important, because as a fact we are spiritual beings. That's the biggest truth, that life and death. they are the most natural things that are bound to happen. Death is something that's bound to happen to everybody. That's the utmost truth. Life is unpredictable. Death can come tomorrow, whatever, after 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. So when you know that you're such fragile beings at any age, how can we afford to live without any awareness? How can we call it from that ego self that I am creating this life, I am becoming this great? If we don't enjoy, if we don't live everything, if we don't experience life fully, then there is no point of actually having a life. In of course, like in a very spiritual way, I'm saying, because there is a saying I read in a book, Conversations with God. If you don't go within, you go without. No matter what you're going to achieve, you're going to go without anything.
It's beautiful that you mentioned Conversations with God, because that is one book which I can vouch and say, and I've read all the series. I've read almost every book that Neil Donald Walsh, the author, has read, and
I
he has
love this, one of my favorite books.
completely changed my understanding of what I was chasing and what I'm trying to create now in my life. So earlier it was success, and it was outwardly success, and it mattered what was there in my bank balance and what people thought of me, and it was all that. And it's so rightly that you said, Achal, that everything that there's no point if we awaken and become spiritual and aware at the age of 70, when we can do it when we are young right now. But this brings me to another point, that where everybody is so busy, the working professionals, who are in their 20s and early 30s, let's say, who are so caught up in making a paycheck or living paycheck to paycheck. And these topics might sound very esoteric. They might sound upar upar se. Then it might sound like, okay, this is for, I will park it for later. When I'm comfortable, when I have that house, when I have kids, it's always like when something happens,
You're
then I
always going
will.
to keep postponing it.
Yes. So this brings me to the next thing about so you started and grew and you started teaching others. How did energy manifestation work come about? So could you speak about that?
If you are in your early 20s, the biggest hustle is to set the career, because as the norm of life is that you have to get married, have kids, have a secured life for yourself. And where is the time for going so deep, going so introspective about the inner world, because you feel that you lose so much time. Then you have to be doing, hustle. But what if we just need to change a little bit of perspective, like just turn the frequency a little bit, the perspective a little bit here and there. If you look at it in a way that if you do this, just like any other class, your TT class, your driving class, people give 3 days a week in their teenagers to table tennis to whatever sports. It's important, right? The people feel it's very important because their growth, any other learning. What if they also take their mindfulness, their emotional intelligence, their spiritual work, their self understanding, even to the basic level? They have the understanding of who they are, what they want to do. What if they see it in the through the lens that how easy it's, that hustle is going to become for them, because it won't be a hustle anymore. Hustle is such a negative word, or instead of saying negative, I would say hustle is such an overwhelming word. Like you mentioned that earlier you used to feel a lot of things you have to do, and what will people think, how much money you'll have. We want to grow in our career because we want to prove it to ourselves, to our family, to the people how well I'm doing. It's very important for our self-worth. I'm not saying this is wrong. What if we do the same process with a different mindset, with more alignment, with more fulfillment? Like I'm doing all of this, and my work is like a hustle. My work feels aligned to what I love. What if I can manage my emotional and my mental ups and downs, my stress on a daily basis? What if I know this feeling, how I want to connect with my family and friends without any competition? What if I know that it doesn't matter what others think of me? What matters is how I look at myself and how I compare myself to myself every day. You do the same things, but the quality of your life changes immensely. Like whatever you were doing for external purposes, but you're doing the same things, but for internal purposes. Now it gives you more joy.
Correct.
That time, the intention is completely different. Now, if we talk about it energetically, when we are desperate about something, when we are doing it for external, our solar plex becomes a little bit knotted, and there is a pressure in the energy, and we are actually pushing it away, making it harder for us to manifest. And first time, I think with the book Secret, it that you to visualize all of that. This came into the picture and then started. But I used to do these things if I wanted something when I was 10 years old. Like I had grown a lot of weight in when I was whatever in fourth fifth standard. So I put a picture of a film star that I wanted this kind of body. In 3 months, I got that body without any gym, without any just little bit of diet changes and little bit. I thought to myself, I enjoy dancing, so I started dancing every morning. I didn't even realize I lost weight, like 30 kgs or so.
Wow.
And people thought that I'd taken some pills. I was in eighth standard at that time. People thought I'd taken some pills, and it was I was too young to actually, people to explain people that it was different. It was so easy for me. Like if I want to have anything for the college I want, the school I want, it was simple. I used to imagine it or do a lot of other things. So even growing up, leaving fashion or leaving styling was a choice because somewhere I knew that if I want it, I would achieve it. If I want to become a star in design, I would become it. But do I want it is the question. Does it make me feel fulfilled?
Right.
Right? What do I want next? And then as I grew in this journey, I got married, got child. I look back at my journey because what you asked me, a lot of people ask me the same question. That yes, we want to become spiritual, we want to grow um, in our mindfulness journey, in our energy journey. But our families ask us, how is it benefiting you? They want to prove how it is benefiting me. If my grades are bad in school, they're going to say it's useless, you're wasting time. If I'm not getting a better job, like they wanted the proof of it. They wanted how we can channel this energy into creating a better life.
Correct.
So I came up with this framework called MEPC manifestation formula. And I actually went back to a lot of things that naturally came to me, that I had learned throughout the journey, that I followed, that other people followed, and just understanding what works. So MEPC actually talks about the alignment of your mind, emotion, your system, and everything. And MEPC is actually an abbreviation of mind, emotion, body, soul, energy, and action, of an alignment of all of this. So I feel that if you can work on the alignment means that in your mind you want BMW, but in your heart you feel no, 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 I don't have so much money, or maybe my father won't give it to me. I have to earn it, and then in your energy is little bit not right according to it. You feel I need to work hard. Maybe somewhere in the future, you're disaligned with. If you doesn't matter what you want, and I'm not saying that you wanted you have it right away, but you start living with alignment, and you will feel that the hustle is no more there
Right.
because you're always in the and things come to you much easy. For example, when you reached out to me for podcast, in the same week I was thinking about doing a podcast, and I was thinking that I am not a very social media person, and I was being guided to talk about my journey, teach more people, and just give out talk about certain topics. So I thought podcast would be great because instead of recording videos, talking is comes much more easy to. So this podcast thing, and I was shocked when you messaged to me. I was just having this thought for 3 days. So I didn't try it. I feel when you start living in the flow, that's real manifestation. When you learn to live that way, things come to you.
Right.
Want a kind of job, it will come to you. You start living in the flow.
Right.
And that's a switch. Let's switch at 70. What?
It's interesting, Achal. You mentioned this point earlier also, that if we put off being mindful for later in life, like say just now you mentioned like 70, what are we going to do? We might as well start now when we are young. So, on the same note, do you have any tips for somebody to get into spirituality or start meditating, or to become a little bit more mindful, or get a little bit more out of the illusion that we are all living in? So, do you have some words of advice or suggestion to somebody who's saying, okay, maybe for 5 minutes I can sit and meditate in my busy day?
Meditation may look like a task in the beginning. And if I give the advice that, okay, do it for 5 minutes at least, your mind would be too busy in that 5 minutes.
Right? When
Right? You,
5 minutes will be up.
then 5 minutes will be up. You can watch your Instagram or movie for 3 hours, like, but then 5 minutes would feel like over. Okay, breath work, over. Okay, chanting, and a lot of people have told me that they are very religious, but even when they're doing their part, they're doing the rosary, their mind is somewhere else and they don't even realize that it's over. So that may be religious, but that's not mindful. The simplest way of being mindful is having 100% focus on what you're doing. And it all starts with a decision. Everything starts with the intention and the decision that you make. You came into my life with a decision that I want to collaborate. I started looking, I found you, right? Then, even if you want to go to a party, it starts with an intention that I want to look good. So you do your hair, you buy some clothes.
Right?
The action comes much later.
True.
It starts with a decision or an intention that this is how I want to, this is how I want to live.
But a lot of people focus on the doingness first,
First,
before the beingness, before they realize that who they are and who they are choosing to be.
yeah.
But everybody is so caught up in, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do next? And then the next. And then they miss out the whole point of who they are being in the process.
Yes, but there is, let's just divide it into a little bit more deeper understanding. For example, I gave the example of going to the party, right?
Yes.
Now, having an intention to look good is so subtle of an energy right here that everybody wants to look good, so it's great about it, right? But what about having an intention about every little thing, every little task that you do every day? I'm cooking, I want to cook good. I'm not feeling like cooking and I don't want to cook with half minded. Can somebody else help me? Simple, because I'm living intentional, very clear thought every day. So we can just start with this much mindfulness that if I can devote my 100% to that task, I will devote it, or I will take my time, or I will delegate it. Or, for example, I had to go to a party, but I just have to attend it. And I don't care how I look or whatever, I just have to be there for 5 minutes and come. And then I dress up whatever way, buy, have a ponytail and go. But while coming back, I feel shit, yeah, I should have looked better. Everybody was so dressed up. It was actually fun. Now this is disorientation. Now you start feeling you can't manage life, you can't look good, maybe something is wrong with your skin or your hair. Then next day you start going to the parlor. It's disorientation. You want to go there 5 minutes, then don't care. If you don't care how much you do, have that intention. I don't care. Maybe a little bit fine, it's fine.
Right.
I'm just giving a very vague example so that most people can connect with it.
Absolutely.
And if I'm going, these days, a lot of people get stuck in comparison. She's so slim, he's so smart, he looks young, she's doing well in the job. So you are not living intentionally for your soul, for what you want. You are living in competition with them because you want to be at least like them or be better than them. And guess what? They are doing the same.
Right.
You may be looking up to their looks and they may be looking up to your money. They may be looking up to your whatever task you do. It's an endless process. So mindfulness living starts with what you want and why do you want it? It's just simple. And it's not that manifestation because you want to manifest a job. So I'll ask these questions like for the bigger things. What kind of career I want, what kind of job I want, what kind of life partner I want. This is important, right? And a lot of people don't give it this deep thought into even these things.
Right.
become something because that's going to get a lot of money. It's the in thing.
Right.
Get married because everybody else is saying he's good looking and well off. Deeply, deeply. Do you feel connected to that person? Do you feel connected to this job? Do you feel connected to yourself? Does it give you joy? Life doesn't need to feel like a task. It needs to be a flow.
Right.
And flow doesn't mean mindless flow, mindful flow. Then every day is a joy.
Right.
And that's the whole purpose and the point of getting into this and not making it so complex. Because if I say, come learn Reiki with me, learn this practice, even when I teach Reiki, I teach them that it has to become your way of life. And I teach them how you will make it your way of life. Otherwise, you learn something, you forget it. Oh, I'm not doing meditation these days, so I'm kind of lost.
Right.
Then you come back, suddenly you start meditating 10 minutes a day, but you're feeling overwhelmed, restless because there's no alignment in what you want and what's happening. We won't even realize we waste a lot of time in this because it's the prana energy. In anxiety, in confusion, a lot of pranic energy is lost. And if we can, mindfully channel that energy to something we want, is just going to come so fast and easy.
Right.
You can just notice on the face of the people who practice something. You can notice that on the way they talk, on the way in the way they respond, in the way they look at you, they connect with you. It's just different. It changes quality of your life altogether. And the first thing to start is with this decision that that's how I want to live. That feels like wow.
Right. So
Maybe
beautiful.
learn a
Beautifully said, Achal. Beautifully said. Okay, so this brings me to our final question. I want to ask you, of all the work that you're doing, your energy work and your Reiki work, what is that one thing that you want to continue talking in this life till the end of your life? What is that one hill that you would probably die on? What is that one thing that you can keep talking about or you want to help others by?
I feel alignment is that word. Can say it in one word. Even it's a daily job. And I'm doing this for more than 15 years. Even I get disaligned. This is how I even tell my students and my clients that I'm not perfect, neither you can be ever. Nobody can be ever. So don't put this benchmark that someday I will never have anxiety. Someday I will never have hustle. Someday I will never have any problem. The graph of life is always like this.
Right,
But how you respond to these challenges changes with your practices. Simple practice, any modality, slowly it will guide you itself. Just start with a decision that I want to live different. And I want to talk about this alignment, this flow, and this wisdom. I think these three words all my life because I feel it in my bones how much it has changed the quality of my life. And it's so beautiful to live in oneness. And there have been a lot of challenges that life has thrown at me as well. If I wasn't doing this, I don't know how else I would have responded beautifully to it. And when you experience both the sides, living with this knotted energy, not good feeling about yourself or what's happening in your life, and on the other hand, being able to reconnect it back to that alignment and flow. As I said, challenges will always come across, will go, will pass. But when you are in that energy, you also know the laws. Maybe, again, a beautiful quote that really hit me hard. It's very important to know what role do we play in our own suffering. And sometimes it's our own thoughts, emotions, and our disalignment. And that pattern is the bad role that we're doing. We need to break that. So, yeah, hopefully I can teach others and I can live this way forever. That's my intention for my life, that I live in that flow, in that alignment, because slowly it becomes your natural self. Little bit disalignment doesn't feel easy. I mean, doesn't feel comfortable. You want to reflect back.
Right.
So that becomes like it doesn't feel like a task anymore. This becomes who you are. I think that's what it is.
Okay, so on that note, Aanchal, thank you so much for coming on Actionables. Where can my listeners who are watching this or who are listening to this connect with you? Where they can get in touch with you?
Yes, so they can get in touch with me through my website, aanchaljainbajaj.com, or follow me on Instagram, Aanchal Jain Bajaj, or on YouTube. Either Rise Your Light or Aanchal Jain Bajaj.
All right. We'll also link that in the description box wherever people are listening to this or watching this. All right. Thank you so much for being on Actionables, Achal. I value your time over here. I'm sure the listeners or the people who are watching in have got immense value. Thank you again for your time.
So much
Thank you.
for it was a beautiful and very heartwarming podcast with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that does it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. You can get in touch with both Aanchal and me on Instagram. The handles are mentioned in the description box below. Till next week, remember, what you want matters, and it's really up to you to make it happen. Take good care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.